I woke before the sun that morning, not because of the soft light slipping through the curtains, but because of a hand, gentle yet urgent, shaking my shoulder. "Mom," my son whispered, his voice trembling slightly, "wake up, make some coffee and set the table. Please." For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. My son, Daniel, was 26, grown, independent, and usually out the door before I even stirred. The last time he'd asked me to set the table, he was 10, proudly trying to make scrambled eggs without burning the house down. But the look in his eyes told me this morning wasn't ordinary. I pushed myself upright, brushing sleep from my eyes. "Is everything okay, sweetheart?" He swallowed hard, avoiding my gaze. I need you to trust me. Come downstairs." And then he hurried away before I could ask anything more. Hot beverage, a strange request. The house was still, wrapped in that quiet blue of early dawn. I moved through the kitchen out of habit, filling the coffee pot, laying out 2 plates, the good mugs, napkins. Each small action carried an odd weight, as if I were preparing for something sacred without being told what it was. By the time the smell of brewed coffee filled the air, Daniel finally returned. But he didn't come alone. Behind him stood a young woman, thin, pale, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion but soft with vulnerability. She carried nothing but a small backpack and a kind of fragile courage that made my heart clench. "Mom," Daniel said softly, "this is Emily." The girl stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "Good morning, ma'am." I nodded politely, although confusion swirled inside me like a gathering storm. "Good morning, sweetheart. Would someone like to explain what's going on?" Fork and knife with plate, the story that changed everything. We sat down, the 3 of us, as birds outside began their morning songs. The sun lifted slowly, gently spreading gold across the kitchen table. And then Daniel told me everything. He had met Emily a few months ago through a volunteer outreach program he never even told me he joined. They helped young adults struggling with homelessness, addiction, or family rejection. Emily had left a dangerous environment and spent the last year bouncing between shelters, jobs, and temporary beds. Last night, everything she owned was stolen at the small motel she'd been staying in. Her money, her documents, even the shoes she'd bought from her first month's paycheck. Left with nothing but fear and cold concrete under her feet, she called the only person she trusted. My son. And Daniel, my sweet, stubborn, big-hearted boy, had driven across town at 3 a.m. to bring her somewhere safe. "Here. Mom," he said quietly, "I couldn't leave her out there. She needs help. She needs a family who won't give up on her. Just let her stay for a few days until we figure things out." Emily folded her hands, eyes shining with tears she was trying desperately not to shed. "I know this is asking too much. If you want me to leave, I understand. I won't be any trouble." In her voice, I heard something familiar. A younger version of myself, trembling, lost, trying to be small in a world that had not been kind. And suddenly, my confusion melted into clarity. Revolving hearts, a mother's realization. I reached across the table and placed my hand over hers. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "nobody at this table is trouble. Not today, not ever." She blinked, surprised, as if kindness were a language she hadn't heard in years. Daniel let out a breath he'd been holding, his shoulders sagging with relief. We ate breakfast, simple toast, eggs, and that first comforting sip of coffee, but something about it felt extraordinary. The kitchen seemed warmer. Brighter. As if generosity had lit a candle that chased away every shadow. Emily told us a story in pieces, careful, hesitant pieces, as if each memory were a fragile glass shard she was afraid to drop. I didn't press. I simply listened. And the more she spoke, the more I saw not a broken girl, but a brave one. A survivor. Someone who just needed one person, one moment of compassion to change the direction of her life. Sunrise, an unexpected turn. After breakfast, Daniel stood and cleared the plates. "Mom, we are going to look for housing options today. I talked to a program director, there's a chance she might qualify for transitional housing." Emily's eyes widened. "You did all that already?" He shrugged, embarrassed. "It's the least I can do." And it hit me then, not like a soft dawn, but like a sunrise breaking open the sky. My son wasn't asking me to help him. He was asking me to help someone who, without us, might not make it to tomorrow. He was asking me to be the person he believed I was. And with that realization, my heart cracked open in a way I hadn't expected. Before you go, I said, Emily, come with me. I took her to the guest room, fresh sheets, warm blankets, sunlight spilling through the window. This is yours, I told her. For as long as you need it. Her hands flew to her mouth as tears poured freely down her cheeks. No one's ever done this for me. I wrapped my arms around her, feeling her shake against my shoulder. Well, I whispered, it's about time someone did. Sunflower, the climax, a new beginning. Over the next 3 days, our home transformed. Emily helped me cook dinner, shy at first, then laughing softly as she gained confidence. She told Daniel she wanted to finish her GED, maybe study nursing. She slept, really slept, for the first time in months. And on the 4th morning, she walked into the kitchen with a glow I hadn't seen before. I got in, she announced breathlessly. The housing program approved me. We celebrated right there at the table. The same table where fear had turned into hope, where strangers had become family. Daniel hugged her, proud and teary-eyed. And my heart could have burst. Red Heart, the ending that left me changed forever. A week later, when it was time for her to move into a new place, Emily hugged me longer than I expected. You gave me back my life, she whispered. I shook my head. No, sweetheart. You took the first step. We just opened the door. As Daniel drove her away, I stood on the porch watching the sun rise, golden, generous, unstoppable. And I realized something. Sometimes the greatest acts of compassion are the ones we stumble into at dawn, half awake, with a simple request. Make some coffee and set the table. Because you never know when that table might become the place where someone finds hope again.